What's going on, guys? Minty Bets here with a We Want Picks post-weigh-in show for UFC Louisville, taking place in Louisville, Kentucky. Louisville. I've always wanted to go there to see where the Louisville Sluggers are made, but that is one of the few places in the country I have yet to visit, so obviously I'm not there or on the broadcast this week as I only work Apex events. I'm also not giving out any picks for this card, but Angelo and Jacob certainly have picks for this one, as they do every week. So go to WeWantPicks.com and become a premium member to unlock all the tools and bets and make some money. We've got 14 fights on the board. Let's start off with the middleweight main event between Jared Cannonier and Nassourdine Imavov. Imavov is coming in as a slight favorite with a 12-year age advantage, weighing 185 pounds. Meanwhile, Jared Cannonier has gone 7-2 since making his middleweight debut, with his only loss in the division to Israel Adesanya and Robert Whittaker. He weighed 185 pounds as well. Both guys looked really nice. They looked lean, they looked cut and good to go. In the co-main event, we've got a light heavyweight matchup between Dominic Reyes and Dustin Jacoby. Reyes is coming off of 4 straight losses, most recently to Ryan Spann. He officially weighed 205 pounds, and man, he's got a very long body with very long limbs. While Dustin Jacoby, he's lost 3 of his last 4 and weighed 204.5 pounds. The big boys are good to go. Also, lots of fighters on this card are coming off of some cold streaks, so this is another reason I just don't really want to bet on this one. Next up, we've got a good one between Raul Rosas Jr. and Ricky Turcios. If you remember, Raul had to pull out of UFC Mexico only minutes before the walkout in February. He's good to go now, should be healthy, and he came in at 136 pounds. He's taking on Ricky Turcios, who is a decision machine, having had all 3 of his UFC fights hit the scorecards. His weight was also at 136 pounds. In the middleweight division, we've got Bruno Ferreira, opposite of Turcios. He's had all of his UFC fights end in the first round. He's recorded a weight of 186 pounds this morning, and my goodness, he's got very wide shoulders. A very good feature in a man. I like it. And Dustin Stoltzfus weighed 184.5 with a record of 2-4 in the UFC. Another one at middleweight, this time between Julian Marquez and Zachary Reese. Julian coming in at 185.5, while Reese stepped on the scale at 185 on the dot. And opening up the main card is Miguel Baeza and Punahele Soriano. I'm gonna expose myself here again. Punahele Soriano looks kind of like my high school boyfriend. Mind you, I was 14 at the time, and I am 31 next month. And I just, obviously don't really have a type at all, as you can tell, because last week was Grant Dawson. This week is Puna. Stay tuned next week to see which fighter looks like my ex. If you can take any guesses, I don't think you guys will be able to, because there is one fighter that does look a little bit like my ex. Soriano's moving down in weight from 185. He's 1-4 his last 5 and originally came in half a pound over the limit. After stripping down, he got down to 171. Kind of funny because he mentioned how difficult it was to keep his larger frame, and now he seemed a little stressed trying to cut the weight. Luckily, he made it, and his opponent, Baeza, coming off of 3 straight losses and a longer layoff, he stepped onto the scale at 171, and he'll certainly look a little better after rehydrating, but overall, looking real lean. The featured prelim is a lightweight bout between Thiago Moises, coming in at 156 pounds, and Ludovic Klein, also with a weight of 156. Next is Charles Radtke and Carlos Prates. Charles Radtke is the chosen one this week, as he is Jacob's lock of the week. He had the official weight of 171 pounds and then proceeded to throw up his middle fingers to the crowd as a little ungentlemanlike Charles. But Carlos Prates coming in with the bling, he weighed in at 169.5 pounds. In the women's flyweight, we've got Andrea Lee and Montana De La Rosa. I actually went to high school with an Andrea Lee, but she was Korean, so I don't think this is the same woman. This Andrea is coming off of 4 straight defeats, 2-7 in her last 9? Girl, what are you doing? She weighed 126 pounds, and De La Rosa also not looking too hot recently with 3 straight L's. She had to be reweighed after coming in a quarter of a pound overweight, but ended up at 126 as well. All right, for this next one at bantamweight, I had to do a triple check of the betting line because Brad Katona, the man that looks like he doesn't blink, he is minus 675. He's 1-3 his last 4 with all of those fights going to decision. I personally wouldn't even touch this one. He weighed 136.5 pounds at first step and then made weight at 136. He's going up against Jesse Butler, who is going down from 155 to 135, and he looked kind of skinny from what I could see, but I couldn't see much. He ended up at 136 pounds. Moving on, John Castaneda stepped onto the scale at 136 pounds, and his opponent, Daniel Marcos, at 135.25. We got a battle of Brazil in the women's straw weight. Eduarda Moura, she was the only fighter to officially miss weight and to be fined 20% of her purse. She ended up at 116.5 pounds. Honestly, that's not too bad. Denise Gomes missed weight the first step onto the scale by only half a pound, but she ended up coming in at 116. It seems, although these fighters on this particular card in this particular location, they're eating real good. And now I really want to go to Kentucky because I want to eat real good too. 2 more left, guys. We've got Cody Stamann versus Taylor Lapilus. Cody coming off of a longer layoff. He last fought in May of 2023, and he looked real good today at 135.75. And Taylor Lapilus weighed 135.5. Both looked really great, and that fight is good to go. And finally, the first fight of the night, the last one of this video. It's kind of an important one in my opinion because we have only one fighter making their UFC debut on this card, and that fighter just so happens to be the first female fighter in the UFC out of India, Puja Tomar. She's a big dog here, and rightfully so. She's also a little stockier than I thought, but she made weight at 116. Rayanne dos Santos is the second largest favorite of the night, and she weighed 116 pounds as well. That's it, guys. Again, no UFC picks from me. Just go check out Angelo's and Jacob's on the website. Subscribe here on YouTube and follow across all social channels. And come back next week for the We Want Picks post-weigh-in show for UFC Fight Night between Alex Perez and Tatsuro Taira. I will be giving out my picks for that one, as I will be on the broadcast at the Apex. Good luck this week.